welcome to Coach Taylor's class videos, and today we're going to talk about graphing inequalities. So the beginning of our steps are going to be the exact same as when we're graphing just regular linear lines. We need to find the y-intercept, and we need to find the slope. The biggest thing that's going to change is the type of line that we use. If we have less than or greater than, we're going to use a dotted line. If we have less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, we're going to use a solid line. The other thing that's different about inequalities is because inequalities are any number greater than or equal to or less than, we need to shade our graph. And when we shade our graph, if it's less than or equal to, we're going to find the line or the y-intercept, and we're going to shade everything below the line. Whereas if it's greater than or equal to, we're going to find that y-intercept and shade everything above the line. The one other thing that I want to remind you of is that when we talk about inequality, we talk about solution sets. So a solution set is any point in the shaded area. What are you doing? And stop. Okay, cool. So let me restart. So solution sets are any point in the shaded area can be correct or a solution. So one real quick thing that we have to know is that dotted lines are not solutions. Solid lines are, but if it's a dotted line and it's on that dotted line, it cannot be a solution. All right, so let's go look at some questions. Okay, so my first one is y is less than negative 1/2 x minus 2. So my m, or my slope, is a negative 1/2. My b is a negative 2. So I need to find negative 2 on my y-axis, so that's going to be the first point I draw. Because it's a negative 1/2, I'm going to go down 1 to the right 2, and that's my next point. Down 1 to the right 2, down 1 to the right 2. So now I have enough points that I can easily graph my line. But now I have to start looking at the inequality. So my inequality is less than, so I know it's going to be dotted. And so when I'm drawing my line, I'm going to connect the dots. Quit it. And we're going to go dotted, 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 dotted. And I'm still going to put arrows at the end of my line because this line does go on forever. Remember that anytime we draw that line, we want it to go all the way through the graph. So the next thing I have to figure out is how am I going to shade it? So because it's less than, I'm going to shade below. So again, I'm going to find the y-axis or the y-intercept, and I'm going to shade everything below it. And because it's dotted, I'm not going to include the dotted line. I'm just going to include everything below it. So if we're talking about solution sets or solutions, any point in this green area could be a solution. So I just picked 4 points at random. So negative 4, negative 3 can be a solution. Negative 2, negative 4 can be a solution. 1, negative 5 can be a solution. And then negative 5, negative 6 can be a solution. So any point in that shaded area is a solution. All right, so let's look at our next problem. So again, I'm going to draw a box around the inequality. It's greater than or equal to, so I need a solid line, and I need it to be shaded above the line. My slope, or my m, is a negative 5/4, and we got to remember it's rise over run. The negative tells me it's down. The 4 is how many I'm going to go over. And then my b is negative 1. So when I'm graphing points, I'm going to start at -1 because that's my y-intercept. I'm going to go down 5 and go to the right 4. So that's my next point. Now, if I can't go down anymore, I can go back to the y-axis. I can go up 5 and go to the left 4. So that would be my next point. This line, I know I want it to be solid. And so I'm just going to draw a straight line. It's not very straight, but it's as close as I can make it. If you have a straight edge like an ID or a notebook or a phone, those can work well there. So now we've got to look at my shading. So because it's equal to, I can shade the line. So I'm going to shade everything on the line. And because it's greater than, I'm going to shade everything above. So this right here is my solution set. So I can put any point. So this point right here, this point here, this point here, and then that point right there are all on my solution set. So my solutions can be -4, 4. It can be -1, 4. We can get 2, 0. We can also get 3, -5. So again, if it's a solid line, our solutions can be on the line, but if it's dotted, they cannot be. So we've got to look here first. What they gave us was not y equals mx plus b. So we're going to have to do a little bit of math first before I can graph this line. So if you remember the last set of notes we did, we're going to, if I rewrite my problem, it's greater than 12. I need to flip the sign of my x term. What I do to one side, I do to the other. So I have 3y is greater than -x plus 12. My next step is I need to divide by my coefficient. Divide by my coefficients. I remember that if I don't have a number next to x, my number is 1. So y is greater than a -1/3 x plus 4. And so now I'm able to graph it. So my slope is -1/3. And then my b is a +4. And so now I'm able to graph the line. But I also need to remember to look at my inequality. So if my inequality is greater than is going to be dotted, and it's going to be shaded above. So I need to go to a +4 for my first dot because it's my y-intercept. I need to go down 1 to the right 3, down 1 to the right 3. And I know that this line needs to be dotted. And so this is my dotted line. So remember, if it's dotted, we cannot shade the line itself. If it's above, we're going to do everything above the line. And so that is my shaded area. And again, anything in the blue can be a solution and part of my solution set. All right, so let's look at one more problem. So again, it's in standard form, so I have to change it to y equals or to slope intercept. So I've got to do a little bit of math first. So I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. I'm left with 2y is greater than or equal to -3x minus 4. And then a quick reminder that anytime, if this was a -2, if I divide by a negative number, my inequality sign switches. This one's positive, so I don't have to do that, but that's just a quick reminder. So y is less than or equal to -3 over 2x. -4 divided by 2 is a -2. So my m is a -3/2. My b is a -2. And then my inequality sign is less than or equal to, so it's going to be solid. And I'm going to shade below. All right, so let's graph it. B, that's going to be my y-intercept. So that's my first point. I'm going to go down 3 to the right 2. Since I can't go down 3, I can go up 1, 2, 3 to the left 2, and it's the same thing. So a solid line is going to be roughly there. And then we said we're going to shade below. So sometimes it can be hard to understand below. So I like to find the y-intercept on my line and know that that's below. And since it's solid, we can highlight the line because any point on the line is also part of our solution set. So this can be a solution, this can be a solution, this can be a solution, and then that right there can be a solution. So I've got negative 2 comma 1 is a solution, 2 comma negative 5 is a solution, negative 2 comma negative 3 is a solution, so on and so forth. And that is our introduction to inequalities.